Another thing I would love to do, which I've briefly touched upon, is find out what it's all about. Find out what is beyond the third dimension. Because, as I've mentioned before, I do believe that this is a kind of simulation. This isn't the picture. This is the picture as we see it. But the lesson is to learn more than people on average are learning, because I think we're lied to from an early age. I think we're lied to about the reality of everything, whatever it is. The reality of religion, the reality of politics, the reality of money, the reality of love. We're lied about it all. And it's up to us to go, hang on a second, this isn't fucking adding up. And I've always been like that ever since being a little kid. I've always been, this is not adding up. And, my mum would just go, shut up, stop thinking. So she used to say to me, stop thinking. How the fuck do you do that, mum? Well, people normally do stop thinking, and people don't really always want to evolve and get past the status quo. But I've always wanted more. I've always wanted to know more. I've never been that interested in what the corporeal world can offer me. I think I pretty much had it figured out at an early age. I just wanted to go out and take drugs and get drunk and have parties and stuff that was fun. Didn't devote a lot of time to it, and it didn't teach me very much though. And so I'm really curious about what's after this. I do know that there's more. I do suspect that we've always been two people, which is another thing that I think we've been lied to. We're one person, and that person has a soul, and the soul goes off to somewhere else when you die. And there's a kernel of truth in that, mixed in with a load of what is the word? That Kevin Smith movie, dogma. It's a lot of dogma put in there to control you by fear of death, because you might be going to this fucking place called hell, or you've got to be good and do this, this, and this, otherwise God's not going to let you through the door with his fucking book of names guest list. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit, and it's put there for a reason. It's put there to keep you subservient, to keep you in a servile state. That's a lyric on one of the songs, Motherfucker in the Sky, which is all about being lied to. And it goes, it's a lie to keep you in a servile state, designed to fear and defined by hate, to breed vibration bottom feeders and keep you believing in a need for leaders, which is exactly what we are led to believe, is that we need authority. And what whoever they are, fear most is you not feeling like you need authority, you breaking away from that and finding that this world is ridiculous. It's all a con. It's all a lie. I want some basis beyond just having faith that that's true. I want a little bit of proof. I don't know how much we can get away from being controlled by our brain. I'm challenging that every day, and I realise that your brain works for you and not the other way around. But I also believe that you're two people. You're not one person, as the schools and the churches, whatever you believe. You're two people. You're the you that has your experiences and your consciousness through that, and you're also consciousness itself experiencing the world through you. This is the same consciousness that's experiencing the world through the eyes of a moth, through a fucking tree. Trees are having experiences. But this consciousness is experiencing what you experience. So it depends on how far you want to push the boat out as to how much of a good time it's having experiencing things. Now, consciousness doesn't care. I believe anyway that it doesn't care if you're trying to do good. So the idea of karma being if you do something good's going to come back to you doesn't work with consciousness. I don't think it cares. I think consciousness is all about frequency. It's all about energy. If you want to be an absolute cunt and you devote yourself 100% committed to being a cunt, you're probably doing consciousness a better service, as weird as that sounds. But it only sounds weird if you take this level too fucking seriously. And the flesh and blood corporeal three-dimensional world shouldn't be taken too seriously, because that's not what it's here for. It's here to teach you some lessons, but you've got to ask the questions first. You've got to have a curious little mind on you. So yeah, I believe that we're effectively two entities, and I want to know what the world is of this second entity. That's consciousness. But when consciousness comes through here in this simulation, it forgets what consciousness is. Now, I don't know if it forgets all the time or it just has to forget during the day, and then when you're asleep, maybe it goes back there and goes, fucking hell, it's horrible down there. Well, you're going back there in the morning, so have a cup of tea, put your feet up. Maybe it's something to do with that. I don't know. It feels a little bit cruel for consciousness to have to come down here, forget what it is for 60 or 70 years, especially in the lives of some of these people that are doing nothing with themselves, nothing with their lives. It's mundane, boring shit, day in, day out. Why would consciousness sign up for that? I don't know. There's something there though, and I don't know what it is, and I want to know. So yeah, that's the thing that I've never done that I'd love to, is find out what's going on beyond this dimension. I won't say the fourth dimension, because I don't know if there is a fourth dimension. Again, these are terms that we've invented. I don't know if there's just another thing, and it's not dimensional. It's just a big thing that's not this. But I do have faith and belief that there is something, and I will spend the rest of my life devoted to finding out what that is. Watch this space. James, with a Y, that's a Y in the middle. James, G-A-Y-M-E-S. James asks, I'm assuming So the Spencers Can Poke Out and Rooting for the Bad Guy were initially going to be two different songs. At what point did they become one? The riff on The Spencers Can Poke Out came from Jace Edwards. Was a riff Jace Edwards came up with, and we went, can we put it in Rooting for the Bad Guys? Yeah, certainly. So we did, but I just really liked it, and I thought it seems a shame to not have it. It sounded really good as well by itself, mushed in with a big long song. It sounds great, but you can forget how delicate and nuanced it is, and fairly hard to play. So I thought, well, it sounds so nice, let's just put it as its own separate track if anyone likes that part as much as I do. And then it means that all of the publishing goes to Jace Edwards. So yeah, there were kind of two songs. At one point they become one. Yeah, I think I just answered that very succinctly. Are there any other songs that were meant to be one that ended up being two? No, I don't tend to write. So if I'm working with people and they've got ideas, I fully believe in shoehorning their ideas in. I like being inspired by people. But as far as my writing's concerned, I can't think of any songs that were meant to be two songs. There are songs that are a result of having lots of little bits lying around. Vernix was one of those, where I just had lots of these little bits lying about, and I just thought, I'll just cobble a load of them together, and I'll see what happens. I'll use that as the vehicle to see how the song goes. But that's no guarantee that the song's going to work like that. You can't just stick bits together and for it to work. But you can stick bits together and get inspired by it. Oh, that's good. That makes me think of going here or here. So there's songs like Vernix that have been a little bits, but I'd say for the most part, I write a song and everything you hear in that song has come to me in the same order as it gets to your ears. And that's usually how songs tend to go. I don't labour over a song. If a song says, right, hold up there, we're going over here now, I don't tend to be like, well, that doesn't make sense. That's going to put everyone off. I'll just trust in the process and go with it. 9 times out of 10, it heads back home eventually. Finally, so the Spencers Can Poke Out. What does this mean? Something nonsense to call a demo, something about shagging. Apologies for 3 greedy questions. Well, they weren't, because they were all the questions about the same thing. So the Spencers Can Poke Out, I think, was in reference to us wanting to record it a certain way so the spaces could poke out. And I think it was the stereo panning of the guitars, hard left and hard right. So the spaces between the notes could poke out. As anyone who writes or records knows, that the spaces between notes are as important as the notes themselves. So the spaces can poke out. It's a shit song title, and arguably so the Spencers Can Poke Out, but I thought it was funny because I love Frank Spencer, and Tom Spencer's also called Spencer, so I thought it's a nice nonsensical lilt to it when said. But yeah, so the Spaces Can Poke Out is probably, I'm feeling that's why it was there. Slidehammer, it's a fucking great name for a band. Loving the sound of quirky little venues. Can patrons get pre-sale tickets? Oh, have we already talked about this? So that's me and my fucking pathologically fucking honest big mouth. Is I just say what's in my head. Sometimes it comes true and sometimes it doesn't. But this is in reference to the band playing small venues, I presume so. I hope I haven't just fucking said something else I shouldn't have said. But yeah, I want to get the band on the road, and I want the band to stay on the road. And it's a great sounding band. And the best place to showcase a great sounding band is in these little venues. I'm feeling that I've already said this, but these little venues where there's nowhere to hide. So yeah, we're going to go into smaller venues. I'm not saying pubs. Don't worry about it. You'll get a ticket. Talking like 500 seaters or something. So small compared to the bigger venues we play, but by no means tiny venues. Will the patrons get pre-sale tickets? I don't know, and I'm not even going to say anything because it could fucking land me in all sorts of hot water. I hope so. I'm not sure. I don't even know how many of you there is. So how about this? I don't know, because it'll be in conjunction with an agent and a promoter and the venues themselves, which is a separate entity to the Patreon and the podcast, which I like to keep things that are working really well safe, and not infect them with cross-collateration of business. But what I can say is, if any of you don't get a ticket, I will personally get you into the fucking gig. How about that? And that is the truth as I believe it to be. I will get you in. No one's going to lose out. I don't know whether you're going to get the first fucking tickets, but these kind of venues, it's all going to be smushed into a dance hall. There's no front row, there's no early bird tickets, and there's no meet and greets or nothing like that. So as long as you get a ticket, I'll be happy. And if you don't get a ticket and they go on sale and you lose out, get in touch and I will get you in to the venue for the gig. That's a promise. Richard from Wednesbury. That's a fucking tongue twister. Richard from Wednesbury. Afternoon, Ginger. You mentioned the pyramids in the last podcast, which got me thinking. Killing Joke recorded in one of the Great Pyramids. Yeah, I know. I said it influenced their performance. I know that when you recorded the White Album in a Haunted Castle with Jace Edwards, have you recorded anywhere else where you reckon the ambience of the place had an effect, good or bad, on your music? No. I will say I've recorded in plenty of places where the ambience has been affected by our music. I think that's what music does. Music pulls in energies. Usually I've been, in the past, pissed up my head, high on drugs, and haven't really taken any notice. But music does work on energy. It is the sound of energy. It's the sound of emotions. Let's face it. I've recorded in Willie Nelson's studio, Pedernales in Austin, Texas, where we had a ghost. And I was told by one of the session players that came in that this ghost turns up when the session's going well. His name, Bucky. The ghost was called Bucky. And it used to be Willie Nelson's engineer, stroke, one of his best friends. And yeah, as I was reliably informed, is a constant presence, but not all the time. So he turns up when there's a good energy. Again, the energy is picking up. Energy creates different stuff. And again, it's another big one where I'm sure I'm going to get more and more into this. What the fuck is energy? What's it doing? But I do believe that energy speaks not in distance. So whatever energy you create here can be accepted on the other side of the world and probably the other side of the universe and probably beyond at the same place. There's no time-space continuum as far as energy is concerned. Energy begats energy. So you put energy together with energy and it makes more energy. So if you're recording with the positive spirit, I do believe that is pulling in positive energies. And we've seen it in studios before when strange things have happened, like seemingly ghosts turning up, funny things happening, things going missing, things moving, orbs appearing, or just a general feeling of fucking hell. Just feels electric in here. Feels like a feeling when it's just about to rain or something. Strange business. Well, strange business, but probably not very strange. It's just uncommon, but probably not very uncommon. We don't pay enough attention to this sort of stuff, I think is what I'm trying to say. But I do think that energy, good or bad, and again, like I said, I don't think consciousness really cares about how favourable you're going to be seen to be with your behaviour. I think it just works on frequency. Works on the strength of your frequency, of your energy. And I've certainly been in the studio a few times when the energy has been really negative and it's probably been pulling in some negative energy because of that. But the last session was definitely pulling in some energy. We went in there to do that. We went in there with this spirit that we've named the Northern Spirit, but it's not Northern. It's not local to anything. And it created a bigger energy, and everybody felt it. Everyone could feel this positive presence in the studio at all times. But yeah, I think that's how it works. I don't think. I think you utilize energy by the frequency you put out, and that does affect everything. You just can't see it unless it's orbs or something moving around the studio. Martin W. says, notice you have a new producer for the new album. No, not a new producer. Jim Pinder produced the last one, Satanic Rites of the Wild Hearts, and Renaissance Men. He produced Renaissance Men and a bunch of B-sides and stuff like that. But yeah, Jim Pinder's not. In fact, I think he's the only producer that's produced 3 albums of ours in a row. Or 3 albums of ours. I believe that he's the opposite of a new producer. He's the oldest producer we've ever fucking had. But how different would the album have sounded if Dave Draper did it? Do you think he'll stick with a new guy, Jim, I believe, for future albums? Yeah, it would have sounded like a Dave Draper album if Dave Draper did it. And Dave Draper has a very kind of stylized sound based on years and years of perfection of this sound. And I think everything kind of sounds like a Dave Draper production. He's a low-budget Mutt Lange, if you like. But is Jim going to stick around? Absolutely. Jim's fucking great. He's just such a good person. Solid fella. Great family man. His family are fantastic. Lovely kids. It doesn't hurt that he makes really successful albums for a living. And he's probably been nominated for a Grammy for the last Ghost album. A Ghost? Not Ghost. Is it Ghost? Sleep Token. I'm still getting them two confused. It's The Mask, I tell you. It's The Mask. And he also did, funny enough, because I can go to Jim Pinder and go, have you heard of this band? Yeah, I just did the last album. And it happens all the time. But I was asking about that president. I was like, what do you know about this president? We just done the last album. And he told me all about it and what it is and who's behind it. And I'm not going to tell you because it's not my place. But it made a lot of sense why it's doing well. There's a big name behind that mask. And it's not the fella in the video. I don't even know if you know or not. But let me know if you know who it is that's behind the mask in President. But yeah, Jim Pinder fucking works on everything these days. Jesus Christ. And he'll be doing us. And then he'll be straight on to Bring Me the Horizon, or Bullet for My Valentine, or While She Sleeps, so other stuff that just sells more records in one album than I've probably sold in my whole life. And he'll still turn jobs down to work with me, to work with the Wild Hearts. And still say that, they're working with this, especially on this last Wild Hearts album, is one of his favourite albums he's ever worked on. And that guy's worked on a fucking few albums. Christ almighty, he's probably done more albums than I have. But yeah, once you find someone like Jim Pinder, you don't want to let them go. He's an absolute find. And the fact that, in the normal world, I couldn't afford this fella. In a normal world, someone like him wouldn't be taking time away from working on the biggest selling metal albums in history to come and do my little, comparatively little project. But he fucking loves it and he invests. And my God, that guy invests. He's working on an album now and he gets home from work and he's working on drum sounds for this album, which he doesn't even start mixing until next week. You find people like that and you just hope that you can let them know how much they mean to you. And you absolutely should let them know how much they mean to you because they're gold. Jim Pinder's here to stay. If Jim Pinder wants to stay, that is. But things are good now. I'm on an even keel. I've got a lot more balance in my life. And he sees it because he's seen me at my worst. He's seen me throwing my guitar right across a studio and smashing against the wall and stuff like that. He's seen the band when we were there and weren't getting on, and he's felt the toxicity that used to be within the Wild Hearts, and he still wants to do it because he believes in the music. That is all you want from a producer, and he knows that he's not going to get rich. Who knows? Maybe he will get rich from the next album, but he's not doing this for the money. He's purely doing this for the love of music. Those people in my line of work are the keepers, and there's no drama, and there's no nonsense. Daz Demore says, you said past Wild Heart members didn't make an effort contributing songs. No, they haven't. Given the choice, would you prefer members brought in completed songs or would you prefer sitting down and writing songs together from scratch? Well, I would have obviously wanted to sit down and write with them. I would have liked them to come with some ideas, a chorus, so anything. And then we would have wrestled through and come up with a song that I thought was, it's no secret, I've got more experience in writing than someone who just came in with, I haven't got a whole song, but I've got a chorus. But I've got enough experience to be able to know a good chorus and how to flesh it out to make a full song of it. I didn't expect the Wild Arts members to come back with completed songs. I never did. I just wanted them to get involved in the creative process, which they never did. And every now and again, CJ would come up with a song or two, like one usually. And he would re-recorded in his studio. So it would be a finished song. So we all can we just rearrange it for a little bit? But it would come with a finished song. But again, just it's one of those things where some people don't write songs. What can you do? You can't expect things from people if it's not what they do. And I'd adopt that kind of mantle. And then as soon as that person left the Wild Arts, they'd end up writing loads of fucking songs. Happened with Danny or the Yo-Yos. He ended up writing a fucking Yo-Yos album. I'm like, where were those ideas when I was asking for them? And CG is fucking writing more songs than I am now. Where were those ideas when I needed them? Not that it fucking bothers me. I'm glad that I get 100% publishing or 99% publishing. Swings and roundabouts, whatever. It was a pain in the arse at the time, but it's paying dividends now. What can you do? God opens a window, closes a door, and lights a fire and takes his shoes off and all that. But yeah, I would have liked to have sat down and wrote songs with the guys just to put a little bit of their personality into the song. I'm not a control freak, and I definitely don't need to be bullying people as far as writing songs is concerned, because I've got more experience writing songs than probably anyone I'm ever going to meet. And that doesn't say anything about anything other than I write a lot of songs. So it wouldn't be a competition from my part anyway.